1970s Japan was expanding at a staggering pace. Bullet trains, neon skylines, and corporate booms were replacing the old world, as society worked to leave ghosts and spirits in the past. Yet right in the middle of this economic miracle, daily life slammed to a halt as a very different kind of panic took over the country. The fear was so intense that parents refused to send their children to school. Playgrounds sat empty. Families locked their doors and refused to let anyone outside. They were hiding from a wandering spirit known as Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouthed woman, who was reportedly hunting innocent kids on the streets. In the shadow of Tokyo's newest skyscrapers, the nation stood motionless, gripped by a fear that no amount of technological progress could explain. Her approach starts simply enough. She appears as a normal woman wearing a standard surgical mask, stopping children on their way home to ask a brief, unassuming question. Am I beautiful? Looking up, the victims see her striking, gentle eyes. Lulled into a false sense of security, they almost always give a polite, innocent answer. Yes. That's when she removes the mask. Her face is brutally mutilated, torn from ear to ear as if carved by a sharp blade. Leaning in, she asks the question a second time. Am I beautiful? The question functions as a trigger, transforming a simple street interaction into a lethal, high-stakes puzzle. If the terrified child looks at her disfigured face and manages to stammer out a yes, she pulls out massive scissors, violently cutting their mouth to match her own. The injuries are too severe, and the victim bleeds to death right there on the street. Seeing this horrifying threat, you might assume the right move is honesty. You might look her in the eyes and tell her no. This diagram shows the brutal logic of her game. Answer no, and she skips mutilation, plunging the scissors directly into you for an instant death. It's a perfect catch-22, an unwinnable scenario. Every response feeds back into a rigged system guaranteeing your destruction. While the scissors provide the physical threat, the deeper nightmare is the forced participation. Kuchisake Onna weaponizes the victim's own voice, forcing them to choose their own inescapable end. To understand why this trap exists, we have to look hundreds of years in the past. Long before she was a wandering spirit, she was a human woman, known for her extraordinary beauty and her immense vanity. She was married to a devoted samurai, a man who loved her deeply. But duty pulled him away. He was deployed to fight in a prolonged war, leaving her entirely isolated. Unable to cope with the solitude and craving the attention she felt her beauty deserved, she began a passionate, secret affair with another man. The arrangement lasted right up until her husband unexpectedly returned from the battlefield and walked in on the betrayal. Consumed by a blind rage, the samurai drew his sword and violently slashed his wife's face from ear to ear. As she lay on the floor, bleeding out, he stood over her and asked one final, mocking question. Are you still proud of your beauty? That agonizing death permanently anchored her spirit to the living world. The samurai's jealous cruelty warped her vanity into an eternity of vengeance. By the time 1970s Japan rolled around, her centuries-old personal trauma had mutated. She was projecting her own final, horrifying moments onto a completely new generation of innocent victims. Then, just as abruptly as the panic started, reports of the slit-mouthed woman completely stopped. It was as if she packed up and left Japan entirely. Nobody knows what drew her out during a massive technological boom, and nobody knows why she decided her work was done. The intense lockdown of the 70s is over. But today, walking through any crowded Japanese street, the sight of a stranger approaching you in a white surgical mask is more common than ever. If that stranger stops you and asks if they are beautiful, you are suddenly trapped in her unwinnable game. To bypass the trap, you must turn the paradox back on her. Ask her why she left Japan in the 70s. If you get an answer and survive the encounter, leave it in the comments below, if you're still alive to write them.